Hey guys, and welcome to Monday Mornings with Michael. Today is March 7th, 2022, and I am your host, Michael. If you didn't know, we are super excited to start off this new week with you. And first of all, I just want to say good morning. If no one has told you that yet, happy Monday and good morning. We hope the day is starting out well for you. Depending on where you are, you may still be sleeping and be rewatching this. You may be already eating breakfast out the door, or you may be headed to lunch. And if you're all the way around the world, then you're probably in mid-afternoon or maybe even evening. But regardless, hopefully wherever you are, it still is Monday so that you can enjoy Monday on its own and in itself, because we are starting out the new week. So you should be happy and excited for that. We're going to get started going over a few different things. But to start, I wanted to share some of what I'm most excited about coming up to this new kind of season as we're going through. One, the weather is getting a lot nicer. This current week, it has been pretty chilly where I'm at, which is still good, because we are in the beginning months and that's just part of the world. But I'm in California and we already have a ton of flowers coming up, a lot of the bulbs. You'll see even on the Fisher Philbrook account, a lot of really good flower photos coming up on our, throughout the week we post some like nature photography photos, and those are all ones that we find here. So they're all ones that we actually take. And as we come into spring, it is just going to be so much better and so much cooler to see all of the flowers that are coming up. And that's something, because I do a lot of gardening and planting, that to me is super exciting to be like, oh, the flowers know we're getting to some warm weather. They know that they're supposed to be coming up. So it's going to be super pretty, just beautiful everywhere. And I walk neighbor dogs. I'm very active. I get out of the house a lot. Hopefully, I'd rather be out of the house than stuck in the house typically. So I actually get to enjoy all of the flowers and the nice weather while I'm walking every day, or if I'm scootering, rollerblading, biking. And once it actually gets warm enough, I will also be unicycling. So you should check my personal page for that, because that is on the way as we progress towards spring and early summer. Because once we get to summer, it may be a little bit too hot for that. And then within that too, the time change, that's something that I think it's actually next week, maybe. So that one's coming up. Depending on where you are in the country, it may look a little bit different for you, or if you're in a different part of the world, I know that can vary as well. But the nice thing with that, at least for me, is that it means the days will seem longer because the time will have changed, and I do a lot better when it is brighter later in the day. It means I can keep working. I can not even just work, because I have learned over the years to get better at like cutting off when I should stop working. But in between finishing working and having dinner, having this time where I can actually go out and do something, even if it's just taking the dog for a walk, rollerblading down to the dog park to stare at the dogs, and just getting out and about. So that is really fun and exciting for me. It should be coming up. And then we always also want to check in with you guys and say, like, did you guys get to have a day off over this past weekend? That is such an important thing that I know is super difficult. Even for myself, where usually Sundays are my day off. And I had this weird, kind of thing where I was like, I'm going to take the day off. I'm not going to work, do my normal work. But I also don't really want to go to the gym, because when I go to the gym, it just makes me tired. I'm like, I want to be home and actually do something. So I actually got to set up a lot of stuff for Fisher Philbrook. You'll notice right off to the side here, I actually set up, we'll see if we can turn this mic arm right here. So I previously had this microphone, the pop filter, the little foam. Those are to make sure that the P and S sounds don't pop. So a pop filter, if you didn't know. And same with this, all to help in that. But I had this arm ready to go, and I've just been waiting to set it up. I was going to do it one time before I started recording for one of our podcasts. There was a lot of instructions. It actually isn't that much, but when you're already in a rush, you should not do something that you want to spend a good amount of time in and have fun doing. Because I was like, I'm super excited. This will really make me feel like I'm professional and that it looks professional, which it is exciting. And then the other thing is that right here that I'm using, this is the first live, is this ring light. So you'll see I can adjust the brightness. It is an 18-inch one. It was around like $100, give or take, a little over that with everything combined. But that was super exciting for us as a company, just so that we could have something that's easy to set up. We can keep it set up as we engage with these Monday morning shows and future interviews and future just social media content posting. It's also something for me that's personally super exciting because even though now I'm not working in a job where I have a bunch of video calls, previously I was, and it is difficult to find good lighting, or would help in hosting like workshops and tutorials, and always like a struggle of like stacking books and then clipping my reading lamp to the side so I could have light in my face and being like, oh, this is blinding and I hope they can see me and I hope I look okay, not all like crinkly in the background. So it is really exciting. And then my younger sister and brother-in-law gave me these LED lights to string. They're like tape lights to put all around the room or the studio, if you would like to call it. So I did that yesterday too. So it was this really fun thing of like, I was still like working and doing stuff, but I was being productive, and it was different than my normal work where I actually, felt the effects of taking a break, being relaxed and rested, but at the same time I got to do fun stuff of setting up stuff on my like to-do list that I knew I needed to do, and it's just everything's been sitting in boxes. And so by actually setting it up, 1, I'm already feeling a lot better. 2, it was really cool. 3, it was still a break and a relax and a fun thing to do on the weekend. And then 4, I think we're on 4. That's why you gotta count with your hands, or else you're just listing for days. I got to clean up a lot of the boxes in my room. So everything is super clean. The lighting is great. The setup is awesome. So that is a fun thing with that. And hopefully you got to do some fun things on your weekend too. Just that idea of, even if you are having to do some kind of work, because I feel like there's always housework or yard work in anybody's life that can be done. Hopefully it was something different so that you were able to get out of your normal routine, so that when we get to Monday, which is today, you can actually have fun in getting back to your normal work week, whatever that may look like. From there, we wanted to touch a little bit on networking. We mentioned that last week, how we were really jumping into that, myself personally and as a company. I would say after about a week of diving into it, we found, kind of like I was saying before, is that LinkedIn is good. It's one of those things like you should have it updated. You should be on there trying to make posts to engage with other people, but overall it still feels to me personally, so don't take this on behalf of the company Fisher Philbrick, but very like slow and old. Like people definitely use it, but it's to a certain extent where like you already know them, you have met them say at a meeting or a conference, and you're like, hey, can I get your LinkedIn, let's stay in touch. Not so much the like scrolling through finding random people in your area or new connections. However, I did find, and I don't think I mentioned this last week, but maybe I did, but if you've heard of the dating app called Bumble, I'm sure you have. It's a little yellow one, I don't know, bees. There's so many companies right now that play on bees, but this is the dating app. They actually have a separate version called Bumble Biz, B-I-Z-Z, Bzz. Get it? So stupid. I mean, cool. It's ingenious, right? Probably took a whole team of people to come up with that. But Bumble Biz is a separate part where you can set up the app and just create that sort of a profile. I don't believe you have to set up the dating side, or there's a BFF side if you're looking for friends. We went on and created a business one, and it actually connects you as a dating app would with people in your area based on different interests. You basically think of it like the dating app. You set up a profile. It can actually be separate from, say, if you're on the dating one or the best friend one, you can set 3 different profiles. So if you're doing it for your business, set the business one. You can add your businessy photos, tell them, what you're looking for. Like we're looking to network, expand relations, help people out, all that kind of stuff. You can add your website. And then it's the same thing. People come up, you can swipe left or right. And I guess you don't actually get matched up unless you both have swiped to the same direction. I am not one. Even now, I just go all the way down and click the X or the check mark, and they're like, you can swipe. I'm like, but I don't remember which way to swipe. And it just makes me nervous to think of that. But say you go through and you both match up, then you can actually message them. The other thing I found too in that is that I put my LinkedIn and Instagram within my profile because they want you to pay. So that is the downside to really any of these apps that are free because they need to make money. So every little bit they either have ads or like, you should pay for this, or you just missed your potential match, you should go back. And you're like, oh man, go back, you should pay. If you want to go back, you gotta pay. And I'm like, oh, okay, never mind, we'll just say goodbye. But I did match with a couple people from there, and then I don't know, from there I guess it's getting conversation started. Although I am gonna have a call with someone, just like a networking, get to know them type of call later this week. So already compared to, let's say, LinkedIn, I've already had like a little bit of a few connections overall. So all to say though, I would check that out if you're looking into getting into networking. Of course, we'll share more of like what has worked and what is not working as we continue to go, because it does seem like it's a very like long and exhausting process of like you're constantly putting in work, trying to talk to people. Someone randomly messaged me on Instagram, and it was because they were not following me. It was in that separate section where it's like requests, and like, why are they asking how I am? That's so weird. And I was like, oh, this is a part of the networking, because I explicitly said, reach out to me on LinkedIn or Instagram. So that was another conversation I had. But already, 2 to 3 conversations and other matchups with people that all from this one app that I was not getting before. So I would say go for it. Check it out if you want. Really, you can do it for any either business you're in or just for networking. If you have your own service that you're looking to help other people out, there's always a lot of life coaches and real estate people. Those ones I wouldn't say stay away from them, but I kind of try to stay away because I don't know, they take a lot from you, or they want a lot. I don't know, they're exhausting. Let's just leave it at that. And then from there, with our podcast, it is going well already. I don't know, this past week had more listens in like the first day than the one from last week. So either we are headed in the right direction, or smart communication sounds a lot more interesting to people than when to quit your job. However, I think quitting your job and the information in that, to me, is very interesting and intriguing, because we're all going to have to be there at one point, most likely. But the smart communication one that we just had was really helpful. I actually shared a lot about my own stories within theater and how that can relate to being a smart communicator. So you should definitely check it out. That's another thing that we're trying to add into these podcast episodes is, yes, we go over everything in the topic as a whole as a business, but also really wanting to add in some of my own experiences, my own stories, just as a way to personalize it, because when you are listening, it makes it so much more fun. If you remember going to school, if you were one of those people, hopefully you went to school. I was trying to say, if you're one of those people that learned really well when teachers told stories, that was something I did where if you had asked me like, what did you go over? I'm like, I don't know. But they told this really great story and it was really funny. And I learned at the end of that this is why this, and this. And they're like, so you did learn it. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I did. And then on a test, I would recall the stories or whatever was going on. That is another reason why, if you are listening to something, if say you're still in school, taking notes or drawing, I would draw doodles. And then I would recall, I'm like, oh, I was drawing this really cool doodle when we talked about whatever. All to say, though, that we are going to start adding some more of my personal insight to the things, just to further build out the podcast, make it more engaging, and give you more of a connection, because that is something really cool with podcasts, even though you're listening and you're not seeing face-to-face as we are now, is that is just another cool element to have in there. And then for the monetization, we are at 44 cents, if you're wondering. I think we realized, so it's not something we would say in the podcast because that's just weird to say, but I think these are great because they are like the live videos to let you know like, hey, how's the monetizing going? 44 cents, so it's better than nothing. And kind of that idea, we learned that it is about like 1 penny for every listen. So if you listen to 5 different episodes, you've sent 5 pennies our way. Or if you listen every week, it's sending 1 penny our way, which is very weird to think about. And that idea I had on my own profile talking about like, oh, we have penny listeners, or you're a penny listener, or listen for a penny type of a thing. And I just think that is a really funny idea, but also cool, just thinking about like, oh, sort of by itself, 1 penny is not very much, but that idea of like when you add it all up, it eventually can make $1, and then from there another $1, and going from there, thinking back to like being a little kid, you're excited for change, and you're like, look at how much change I have, I'm rich, I have a whole piggy bank, and then your parents are just like, okay, just break that open, and you'll see you have like $5 and a bunch of pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, so on and so forth. But the idea that even in this, and really whatever you're doing in life, is that you're investing for the future, you're adding things up. It isn't always going to be a fast and like, boom, we're here, I'm rich, I'm making money, or not even that, just that like I'm successful in this. And you can be successful without necessarily seeing all of the benefits yet. And so I feel like that is one of these things as we're going, and just keeping that mentality both for us and that it will add up, and that all the pennies together create something much stronger than 1 penny alone, which I don't know if that translates now. I'll listen back and see. But that idea of like alone, you're not as strong as with other people, your community of people, which is kind of steering us towards the end of this talk today. But just that idea of the importance of having a community around you, building your community, relying and trusting in your community, and really pouring into them to see how you can help them. And then likewise, it'll come back around so that they can help you. And that's a big thing with the networking. I'm also trying to figure out, because it is something where like I do want to help people, and as people I think that is super cool that we can help people, but just figuring out the right like places to do that and how it actually happens. But I think that is a really good idea, and just something really cool. If we ever get to having like pins or stickers, I think something around penny listener, I don't know, is super fun. And then I also think though, because if that, I mean, ads will vary based on the podcast and your listenership, but I would say that a lot of probably ads out there are around this like 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 pennies per listener, and that's why they do it on per thousand. So if you have thousands, you can make money. So I'm like, oh, I guess this penny listener thing isn't just specific to our podcast, but it's kind of the industry. So we're all penny listeners. The podcasts I listen to, I'm sending a few pennies their way as well. But to go ahead and close us out, we would say to find something that you are excited about this week. It can be, hopefully it is in this coming week. Mine is, as I mentioned at the top of the show, just seeing all the flowers blooming, knowing that spring is coming and is right around the corner. To me, that's super exciting that the days are going to get longer. It makes me feel excited that I can get more done in the day, and overall super productive. So we're going to leave that with you now, kind of as a challenge, and to get you going for this week is find at least one thing. It can be a couple different things that you're excited about for this week. It can be for today, for the next few days, and actually go ahead and share it with someone in your social circles, your community. It can be your family, your friends. Just be like, hey, how's it going? I'm super excited for blank this week. Hope your day's going well. Or you can ask them to. You can also, we would suggest, go ahead and list it in the comments of what you are excited about for this week, because you'll see as you start sharing your own like positivity and encouragement with others, it really helps boost them up, and it's just a full wide-on circle of happy people, hopefully in your own community with those around you. So with that, we want to wish you a very, very happy Monday. We hope your week is starting out great and only continues to build momentum as we get to the end of the week. We'll be checking in the rest of this week with a business article or podcast article, the actual podcast, and nice flowery pictures along the way. We have one that's coming up in just a few hours. So check in on that and have a great day. Thanks for joining us.